Well, it is 1 o'clock. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. And roll call will show that all commissioners are present. Approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would like to request that we add 6C to the regular agenda to talk about rescheduling the October commission meeting.
Anybody else have any additions? Hearing none, move in action.
I approve the agenda, or make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
As amended.
As a,
Amended, as amended. Second.
Yeah, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Public comment. Here, do you have anything in any written thing?
no, I did not have anybody request anything be read during public comment.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Have any questions on any of the items on the consent agenda?
I do not, I just appreciate you guys again, every time. It's nice to have everything, so.
One minor request, if it's possible, I know we're in a county system switch over, but it'd be nice to see the balance sheet with previous year comparisons, if that's available. If it's not available, no problem. I just wanted to say if it was.
It's not, I was hoping that with the new system, we'll have all of that in place. I do have some other reports that I run for internal purposes, which I can share with the commission and see, but like I said, everything's gonna change here with the new system.
Let's see if it's if it's an automated report that can easily be done, that would be the only request I have, so.
Yes, absolutely.
That is not a special request, any sort of special.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Is it nice to look at the password? Yeah, see where we're at compared. But we don't really have huge changes, but still, we should make it kept up to it. Yeah.
Yes.
So any other questions or? Hearing none, I'll need action.
Make a motion to approve some vendor.
We have a motion.
Seconded.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That carries. Okay, reports. I guess I had one thing on your report, Keith.
Yes, sir.
Public Power Week, do we have anything planned that we've been on?
Yeah, typically.
Getting a lot of participation, I know last, but we didn't really.
Yeah, typically what we do is we set aside some time for power plant tours. We have a gift box that Simba provides that we do a raffle for anybody that comes in. And then we typically get candy, snacks, and Kathy, you can speak to that more, what we have available in the lobby for celebration.
We usually pick up cookies and fruit snacks for the kids. Just have
That's it. Oh, during, for that week, they have it on in the office with you.
correct.
And then we'll just do, some social media marketing and things like that, just to highlight public power.
But I think that I recall, we did maybe a little more hands-on. Like a day with that tent up or something, but it got good. We just get into participation.
Correct.
So we didn't set aside each with every day. We just covered the whole week.
Correct.
That was my question. Anybody else have any questions on the reports? Oh,
Thanks again for everyone that's done it.
yep, thank you much. Very informative. As always. Okay, move on to. If we don't need, do we need action on any of these plans?
No, just regular 6A regular agenda would be next.
Is an electric camp plan, critical bid package, resolution 25-07.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll take this one. We are, well, I should say Jeremy and his team are wrapping up phase 1 construction. And DGR has been busy working on the design and major materials list for phase two. Next step would be to authorize staff to go out for put together a bid package and make that publicly available and solicit bids for major materials in phase two, which Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, but the plan is to start construction on that next,
This coming
yeah,
season.
yeah, the next construction season. So, things are moving great on that. Again, putting together a bid package of this size under state statute requires a formal bid process and posting, and DGR takes care of all that for us, but we do need the commission's authority to be able to do that. And we do that through a formal resolution, which is in your packets.
That'll be done sooner than later, so we're ready to go for spring with the contractor and everything.
Yeah, and the intent is we would go out for bids. The due date on those would be November 13th, and then we would bring the results of the bid opening to the commission on November 19th for final selection. This is just for major materials. We'll end up doing another one typically for minor materials and then a third one for the actual construction. So it's just the first step in the process for phase two.
This would be for transformers, cable, junction cabinets, basements, or ground sleeves, that kind of stuff. So
Which area of the city is this phase?
it would be, anything, well, it would be anything that's left that's 2,400.
Yeah.
So it would be the north of town, north up around, like north of Newman's Trailer Park, or what was Newman's Trailer Park, up that way, look up in that area, and then would be like plastic products, the old bus barn, the old Smith System building, and then part of it would be, that loop for the industrial, upgrading that, taking a new feeder from the plant up along 169 into the north side to help with some other additional future stuff.
So this is the part that's allowing us to get power from north or south, right?
It's continuing with.
Yeah.
The phase one had a new tie line from the power plant to the north south. This isn't dedicated as a tie line. It's a feeder that we'd be able to feed out of both subs, but they can be used as tie lines in emergency to carry. So we have enough capacity to feed the north from the plant or vice versa. Yeah.
Transformer, so.
This might be the north sub
Yeah.
transformer as well.
Yes.
Yes.
The north substation upgrades are in phase two.
No, north of the primary school.
Across from Kuzers.
There's, that way. Yeah, just literally like 200 feet north of the primary school.
You know, if you turn with a power line, I think runs over
The
the.
transmission line crosses the road right there. It's right there.
And we're always happy to take a commissioner up there if you want to see it. Just,
I drive by.
yeah. Yeah, but he's got the keys.
Well, yeah, no, one of the is an east central sub, and actually, I don't even know if it's a substation, that might be just a switching station for Great River Energy.
Oh.
So,
On one side too, that's like east central.
Yep. Yep.
I make a motion to approve the RFP or.
the resolution.
Yes, that's exactly it. Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Okay, 2026 preliminary budget discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. This is the time of year where I start working on the budget process for 2026. Typically, we begin work on that in September. We actually provide a proposed budget in October, allow time then for the commission to review and talk about any potential revisions in November. If there's some work that needs to be done, those can then be done before the December meeting for final approval. There have been many times in the past where the commission hasn't had really any revisions of significance, so they've just approved it in November. So you know, you do have that flexibility. There are some anticipated changes for the upcoming year. Like I said, the proposed budget we can talk about next month. I wanted to at least start the conversation so that you folks kind of knew what was on the horizon. From a revenue standpoint, really not planning for any significant changes. We haven't seen any in the last few years other than just some modest growth in the number of units sold. On the electric side, that's been averaging about 1.3% per year, and on the water side, about 1.8% over the last 5 years. Now, again, that changes. It's always important to note that changes dramatically based on weather. We're a very seasonal dependent entity. So you can see huge swings from a long, hot, dry summer to a short, cool, wet summer can affect our revenues a lot. So the actual swings are bigger than that. But generally speaking, what I assume is a very conservative 0% growth in actual sales and just look at whatever rate impacts. And that's worked out pretty well for us. We've been pretty steady looking forward. On the expense side, we do have paid family medical leave that will be effective January 1st, 2026. Those costs are expected to add about $6,000 to our overhead. In addition, as we've been kind of working on the logistics of this, it was on consent to approve Unum as being our provider and doing a 50-50 split on those costs. Because of how payroll lines up, there are 2 days in 2026, which are on that last payroll 2025, first payroll 2026. Rather than what ADP has recommended is to do 2 different payrolls. We figured it's such a small amount for 2 days of the organization. We'll just cover both portions for that first partial pay period, and then going forward, we'll have that implemented as a 50-50.
Sure, it'd be more administrative work there would be.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what we were thinking. On the health insurance side, we did get our quote, and the lowest one was still with Health Partners, but it is an increase of 14% year to year for us. So that is included in my assumptions. I always like to point out that the U.S. Consumer Price Index currently is sitting at 2.9%, which is for the last 12 months ending in August 2025. So just to give you a sense where inflation is at, that obviously has an impact on material costs and other things for us. So that's the overall stuff. Specifically looking at each of the enterprise funds, looking at water, one of the biggest drivers that we're going to see there is the Minnesota DNR's safe water fee is increasing effective January 1st from $9.72 to $15.22 per connection per year. You can kind of sort of think of that as a per meter charge. That is essentially a 1% rate increase for us. But that would require us to increase our fixed charges to our customers by 46 cents. So that'll be one of the assumptions going in, is to be able to recover that added fee as well. On the electric side, SIMPA is continuing to plan for some significant rate swings over the next several years. This is due to the retirement of Unit 3 at Sherco, and also with Rochester leaving the agency in 2030. These anticipated changes have been included in the updated rate studies that we've been completing. Previously, the commission has approved a more moderated approach that would implement small, steady rate changes over time rather than large price swings. Utility has actually been trending better than planned, so only adjustments to the revenue allocation were made in 2025. For 2026, I'm anticipating a more moderate and considerate rate adjustments in anticipation of those changes in the wholesale market. To make that a little bit simpler, SIMPA is looking at basically a 10% reduction in wholesale costs next year, and then a 6% reduction, and then a 10% increase and then a 15% increase, I think, if I remember correctly. So again, very big swings, and it's because they have a lot of bonding coming off. But then Sherco 3 is going to get retired, which means we got to go back into the wholesale market. More and more of the stuff is coming through with renewable resources, which have added cost to it. That in a coal plant, we had already paid for all those costs. So rather than, and this is very similar to all the simple members, we're all going down the same path. Rather than sending these huge price swings to customers, to be able to manage that and just do a 1 to 2% increase per year and keep everything predictable and manageable for our customers has been deemed an appropriate arrangement is what we're looking.
Well, it has a bigger impact, Sherco 3 being shut down or Rochester leaving.
Sherco 3 shutting down. Yeah, and that's why we're seeing the start of these huge price swings starting next year is because the bonds have been paid off for Sherco 3. And so that expense is going away. It's just SIPA hasn't, because Sherco is retiring in 2030, they're not building anything yet. They have started, they have put in a work order for companies, they're called solar turbines, but they're not solar in the renewable sense. That's just the name of the company. They're gas fired. I think they're reciprocating engines. So they are building another energy station. They currently have the Fairmont Energy Station and the Owatonna Energy Station. So they are going to be building another one. And I think this one's outside of Owatonna as well. So they are building in some more resources in that way. But they're also looking at, additional renewables so that we can make more progress towards the 2040 carbon-free legislation that is passed. But that's going to require some investment. So just like we have been paying off bonds, and what we've been doing through the cap plan is, starting a new round of debt and rebuilding the system because it's been depreciated. SIPA is going to be doing the same thing. It's just that the bonds are getting retired a little bit earlier than what they're going to be building. Because of how the SIPA bylaws and rules are written, they can't over collect. They have to charge cost of service basically for each year. And so we're seeing these swings.
So they can't.
They could, with board approval, the board decided that they would rather see what the cost is. And the reason is because of Rochester leaving the agency. If they kind of smooth that out, Rochester wouldn't see the reduction in the wholesale costs. And when the costs kick back in, they'd be out of the agency. So it wouldn't be equitable to them. There'd be a lot of internal accounting to make sure that all of it are treated fairly and equitably. So it was, the board had many discussions about that and ultimately decided that we'll send to the members what the cost is, and then it's up to us to decide how we do it. Fortunately, this is why we have a rate stabilization account. This is why we have the cash reserve that we have, so that we can smooth it out for the benefit of our.
Sherco 3 going down in the 2040 legislation, that impacts any other energy entity like Excel and Regular. I mean, now I'm assuming it impacts everything.
So first off, Sherco 3 is retiring in 2030.
Yeah, I know, but then I was also talking about there's added cost in renewables too, so.
Yes. With the caveat that the 2040 rule is a carbon-free rule, not what you would typically consider a renewable. And the reason I say it that way is because Excel has two very big carbon-free resources at Monticello and the other nuclear power plant down on the river. So, my opinion.
So those are both districts owned by Excel.
Correct, and those are deemed carbon-free. And under statute, no utility can build a nuclear power state, that there was a moratorium passed many years ago. So Excel's the only one that can own and operate a nuclear power plant, they were grandfathered. Now, one of the discussions that the legislature has been over the years, whether that moratorium should be repealed.
Because of the upgrades. Technology.
Because of the carbon-free
Oh, yes, we need it.
benefit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the grid's gonna need it,
But it's also been upgraded.
Yeah. So,
AI, it's not sustainable. Yeah, there's no way to project it, but
so
we need a lot more resources.
because Excel has this these two huge base load plants that are carbon free. I think, and again, my opinion, positions them very well for the 2040 rule. It's the rest of us that are trying to figure that out. So, but as far as Sherco 3 being retired, yes, that is a joint venture solely between Excel and Simpa. So that would only affect the Exxon. Yeah. The interesting thing though, and if I get too far in the weeds, you just stop. The Sherco 3 facility, if Jack's been up on the roof, because they used to do tours, and if they do one more, well, obviously, like the commission again. If you go up on that roof and if it's a clear day, it's cloudy, you can actually see the Monticello. The reason why Sherco 3 and Monticello are where they were is because they essentially backed each other up. In case one went down, you had another major baseline plant that was keeping the grid stable. The loss of Sherco 3, I think, is just from an engineering, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. Distribution system there. So yeah, that's about where we're at the moment. Simple was originally founded to build that Sherco 3 back in the late 70s. So it's served members all of these years, and we're going to be going into a new phase.
It's not their direction, they're intact or home, or anybody where the plan is. I can flip generally, I'm visiting, it's just gonna be, are we doing something in or so.
Correct. Whether
So I'm gonna go away entirely,
Yeah.
I guess.
whether they do that through ownership or through long-term wholesale contracts, I think there's they're looking at all options at the moment. Simba continues to own major assets and transmission as well, which helps offset wholesale costs. It's a good revenue stream for the membership, which helps us with our rates.
Well, yeah, maybe looking for another one there, but we're contracted with them to 2015.
Correct.
Good moment, all the options for it, I guess. Not that we should be looking for it, just saying that we're contracted.
We're contracted through 2050. And I should mention too, since Jackson, you brought that up. If we get it, as Simba tries to figure this out, and if they look at adding in, let's just say a Sherco-like asset. Those are typically 30-year bonds. I mean, we're talking multiple decades. In order for them to do their bonding, they might ask for the members to extend beyond 2050. And they might be coming to the membership in the next couple of years to kind of do that now, if they want to build a major asset. So even though even though our contract is ending in 2050, which seems a long ways away, it would not be unrealistic to think that the commission may in the next couple of years need to think about whether to extend beyond 2050 for financing purposes on it.
How does the 2040 law across the street? We'd have to shut all that down.
That's who you talk to. There are some who interpret the 2040 law as absolute. Yes, there is no fossil fuel generation. The law, though, is actually written that you can, but you have to offset that through RECs, renewable energy. So you can purchase those on the market to offset. A couple of discussions at the Department of Commerce as well as the State Public Utilities Commission about what the mechanism is for doing that. And then they've gone back and forth, and there's been advocates on both sides. So if you listen to advocates on one side, they would say, yes, that needs to be shown. If you look at what the law says, and if you look at how the grid operates, yes or no, it just needs to be accounted for and offset in a different way. And since these units are not, they're basically emergency only, they have very few run hours. Their overall carbon impact is very small and therefore could be offset through road approaches. And this is the thought. But as we see in politics, each administration can have its own interpretation.
I'm overly optimistic, I'm hoping that maybe more as politics evolve, it's, people are gonna be a little more open-minded and read, reality against.
I think within the industry, the expectation is you have to have some,
I'm not
just for,
just being mad.
yeah, just for grid reliability.
Resource, different story than resource.
So that's why I think, there are quite a few municipal utilities out there who are putting in diesel generation as we speak. Again, the thought is that there's not really a risk that we're gonna have to shut down functioning equipment. Because we need it at 3 AM in January, to keep the grid going, or at worst day in August, just to make sure everything stays on. So again, very small run hours, so really don't think that's the target for the 2040 legislation. It was really for the bulk energy that is being bought. So
Information.
Every fall, you guys were there, we were at Monticello, we got down the door, we got in that kind of conference room. And the lady there, she was fairly new there, sure, when he came from Monticello.
yeah,
Yeah, very, very informative. I sensed a little bit of friction between her and that guy there. For the future, kind of a read between the lines. But, yeah, I won't pay for you guys, we get a camper put down there again, it was very valuable.
so what I can do for the commission is, we had shared I think it was last year, some of the longer term projections for SIPA, and I'll make sure I go through, I'll make sure that you can have that as well. So you see kind of what the future holds as best as we can tell. So that is presenting a little bit more of a challenge with budgeting last year, knowing that we're gonna have these swings. Which is, cause us to turn a little bit more in the first couple of years, but then that's all gonna get used up in the couple of years following. So we're just kind of weathering that variability, and then we'll be back to, I think, more of just a normal growth pattern.
Well, and I just think you pointed out, inflation, what I do, got a number of budgets in my time around here, but. Inflation, the projected inflation rate, I know it's crystal ball kind of thing, but we have to be, I think, conscious of, it always looks good, we got 0 rate increase or 0, but it's not a responsible way to do it. You have to be conscious of keeping up with things. And in my opinion, too. And I've seen a couple of years in the county where 0 budget or 0 levy increase with it would pay back a couple of years later. So, it's like it makes a good headline in the paper, but it's not responsible in my opinion. So I think this.
And again, especially for predicting how, if you ever want to come by and just, kind of see a little bit more detail or want to talk through it a little bit more, please just give me a call. That's been through it a couple of times.
Yeah. I like, the way you do the budget, and Michelle has been compared to some of our last administrators, she does a pretty good job. Get better, I don't know, communication, the right word, like how you laid it out. This is what we're actually line item to pinpoint what she's doing, looking at. Right before it was sometimes already be big. I've been criticized previous people, don't get me wrong.
But for us, the biggest driver is gonna be that, increase on the healthcare side, insurance.
And that, we're looking at the same thing at the video.
We're all
So
similar.
much, that is always a, down for you guys know that, your business.
So, I don't need any action on it. I just wanted to start the conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah, he's good, be afraid to have, you guys have plenty of experience with budgets and stuff in your private business. Public sector is a little different, obviously. Did anybody have any more questions? Well, not at the moment. Okay, we added, next meeting for the October meeting.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll take this as well. I would just like to request that we reschedule the October meeting from October 22nd to a week earlier on October 15th. Same time, same place. That's okay with the commission. I have a competing event I have to go to.
I wouldn't have been able to attend either, so that was good.
Yeah, and when Keith and I were talking about it too, it still puts us in a pretty much normal, that with holiday meetings being back a little bit, it keeps us on a kind of roughly 4 weeks of Christmas. And he mentioned, well, maybe having it the week after the 22nd or 15th. You're closing on $2. And you might be a little bit busy during that time period, so maybe you don't need that on your plate.
I make a motion for the agenda change, or the meeting dates change.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any more questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's it. Okay. Item.
Motion to adjourn.
Second to adjourn. We are adjourned.